And we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Tyler Boyd and potential landing spots for him. I know I've talked about him a decent amount. Talked about him yesterday with the Steelers. Also, I was talking about the remaining free agents, where some landing spots for him. So there are some teams besides the Steelers that do have interest. And according to the Athletics, hope I pronounce his name correctly, Mark Caboli. I think that's how you pronounce it. Hopefully I didn't butcher it. But according to him, the Chiefs, 49ers, Dolphins, Chargers, and Lions have preliminary interest in Boyd. And according to him as well, the Steelers are considered a long shot to land Boyd. So I just spent like not a whole set. Well, actually, yeah, I did talk about it because I know I talked about a couple of things with the Steelers, but that was what I talked about for most of that segment was Tyler Boyd maybe going to the Steelers and it making sense. But I did also talk about Kenny Pickett and things regarding that. But the Steelers have a long shot. And you got these other teams, the Chiefs, 49ers, Dolphins, Chargers, Lions. I mean, I think some of those teams are definitely better landing spots than the Steelers. I mean, if the Chiefs want to bring him in, I think maybe he goes there. Especially because of what's going on with Rashee Rice. I know I touched upon that yesterday, but if, things go down a certain path and the Chiefs, he's not a part of the Chiefs anymore, then that opens up a spot for another receiver, and that could be Tyler Boyd. The 49ers is interesting because, I mean, do you want to do that? Because you're already working on. I mean, again, if they end up trading Brandon Ayuk, then yeah, and you could get Tyler Boyd for a cheaper price, then I guess maybe that makes sense. But if you're bringing in Tyler Boyd and you're having problems trying to negotiate a contract with Brandon Ayuk, because I don't know if they should do that. You got the Dolphins, who I guess are looking for like that third option to go along with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I mean, that would be a good offense to be a part of. The Chargers are a team that really needs a wide receiver. That really needs wide receiver help. Now, they could be a team that they're probably going to draft one of these wide receivers in the first round. Because, I mean, they traded Keenan Allen, let go of Mike Williams. Yeah, they need some help on the offensive side of the ball to help out Justin Herbert. So that could be a potential fit for him. And then you got the Lions as well, who I think they're looking for that other wide receiver to have opposite of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, I've been saying, or I've said it previously on a show, I think they're really hoping for Jameson Williams to be that guy. Because, again, we saw the plays that he made. I mean, that play to open up the NFC Championship game, the end-around play. I mean, you see the game-breaking speed that he has, and the ability is there. It's just, we haven't seen that on a consistent basis yet. And, it's really, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, and obviously Sam Laporta had a solid rookie season. The running back tandem of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, you have that. But you want to see the Lions, they need another receiver, another playmaker on that side of the ball. And I think Tyler Boyd, as that number 2 receiver opposite of Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think that would be a good move for the Lions if he ended up going there. But again, what are Tyler Boyd's intentions? Does he want to get paid? Does he want to win? I have no idea. I think he wants both. But, I mean, if you want to win a championship, the best team to go to is the Kansas City Chiefs. Is definitely the Kansas City Chiefs. And, listen, Tyler Boyd has matched up against the Chiefs in some big games over the last few few seasons. And maybe he's like, you know what? If they want me, I'm going to go there. And the Chiefs just brought in Marquise Brown, so bringing in a couple of I know he played with the Cardinals, but bringing in a couple of former AFC North wide receivers, over to your side, so that way when Mahomes matches up against Burrow and Lamar Jackson, he's gonna be like, hey, remember when you used to have these guys? Well, now they're playing for me. Yeah, I mean, listen. I don't. Again, Tyler Boyd's not like a game changer, but he's still a solid receiver. And I think, with the teams that they have listed, whether it's the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Chargers, or the Lions, it's going to make a team better. I mean, it's not going to significantly move the needle. Well, for the Chiefs, I mean, they really don't have to move the needle. I mean, they're the defending champs of back-to-back years now. So it doesn't really matter. But, I mean, for the Chargers, I think out of the teams here, who desperately needs wide receiver help? The Chargers. The Chargers really need it. The Lions, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Sam Laporta. Like I said, the tandem at running back. I think the Lions, I'd probably put them second. Then, see, like for the Chiefs, they need wide receivers, but like, look at what they were able to do without elite wide receivers. They won the Super Bowl again. So I'm not going to say the Chiefs, and they just brought in Marquise Brown. So, and they're probably going to draft a receiver in this month's draft. So, I mean, the 49ers right now, I mean, depending on if they trade Ayuk, like if they trade Ayuk, then maybe you put them there. But the Dolphins, they got Tyreek Hill, they got Jalen Waddle. So, I don't think they really are desperate for a wide receiver. They're fine with what they got. I would say that the Chargers are probably the team that I think needs him the most. Just because, again, their wide receiver room is thin. But that's just me. So we'll see if he ends up signing with the team soon. But I think I think any of these spots you could look at the positives for them. I mean, you go play with Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert. The Lions and the 49ers, obviously two teams that made it to the championship game last year in the NFC. The Dolphins, you pair them up with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But then again, it's kind of like the situation you have with the Bengals with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. They're going to get the ball more than you. So I think that's the other thing, too, you got to factor in is he going to get the ball? And if you go to the Chargers, I mean, you're going to get the ball a lot, I think. I mean, the Chiefs, Mahomes likes to spread the ball around, but you'll be one of the top weapons. So, again, that all depends on, what happens with Rashee Rice. But, yeah, I'm curious as to why, it's kind of taken a little bit for him to sign with the team. Maybe I'm overvaluing him, but I feel like he's got to sign, or maybe he's just being patient. I don't know. This is Tyler Boyd. I'm not, this expert NFL insider that I got all the inside scoops on, what Tyler Boyd is thinking right now, but he's going to end up with the team. So it's just a matter of who that's going to be. But I think the Chargers is probably where you would get the most targets, just because, again, their wide receiver room is very thin. With the Lions, he could be that number 2 wide receiver to Amon-Ra St. Brown, because, again, they're still waiting for Jameson Williams to pop. And, again, like I said, you see flashes. But, that could be a good spot for him. The 49ers, the only way I see the 49ers bringing him in is if they're moving if Ayuk ends up getting traded. That's the only way I see them bringing him in, because you're going to bring him in and then have Ayuk play under his fifth year option. Like, and Ayuk might hold out. So, but again, they could do that just as a backup plan in case. Um, yeah, I mean, if they sign Ayuk to a long term deal before the season, I mean, then Tyler Boyd is not going there. But I think they have tabs on Tyler Boyd just in case they end up moving off of uh, Ayuk. And the Bengals aren't listed there. And like I said, if they ended up trading T Higgins and Tyler Boyd is still there, then maybe you say, hey, we'll bring Tyler Boyd back. But I don't know. Interesting that the Steelers are a long shot, but again, like I said, not an expert NFL insider, so I was like, oh, it makes sense. Stay within the division. Steelers need a receiver. There's your match, but I think these teams definitely, or some of them, are better spots than the Steelers are. Because like I know the Chargers, their wide receiver room is thin, and they might not be very good in 2024, but I look at Justin Herbert as a top 10 quarterback. Um, you know, should be in the top 5, but I don't know. I might be pushing that right now just because of how last year went. But I think when Justin Herbert, with the if Justin Herbert has a bounce back season, he's in the top 5. Talent wise, definitely in the top 5. But last year was kind of rough. And I know some people are kind of calling him a little overrated, but I think Justin Herbert's really good. So, and now that he's got Harbaugh there, they're going to head in the right direction because he wins wherever he goes. So, at least since I started watching football. So, I would have liked to have seen them keep Keenan Allen. That kind of surprised me a little bit, but I think they'll figure it out. So, but let me know what you guys think. Where do you think Tyler Boyd will eventually end up? I don't know, honestly, because I was like, oh, maybe the Steelers, but now you got all these other teams involved, and I'm like, yeah, some of those teams might be better spots for Boyd than the Steelers, but we'll see what happens. So when we come back from our final break of the show, team I talked about a little bit just now, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. So they did bring back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so we'll talk about that, as well as also another running back that's on the free agent market, and that is J.K. Dobbins, and where he could potentially go, because he actually, did visit with the Chargers. I think he did visit with the Chargers, and he also did visit with the Chiefs, but we'll get into that as well when we come back from our final break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.